when you look back and see where all these tropes of like Jewish people own all the banks and stuff like that, and when you tie it all back, it ends up being like white supremacist groups saying that stuff.
Where does your masculinity come from in a community where you have no economic opportunity? I feel like there's a lot of reasons why, especially in Black communities, there's like so many kind of weird associations with masculinity and gang culture, is because I think for a lot of people, like the only path to success or the only way to exhibit those characteristics are sometimes through like criminal activity. Like you just don't have the ability to go do like white collar jobs, go to college, get work, and then kind of like be the nice providing dude for your family. And when you don't have those types of opportunities, people will gravitate towards the other.
But it was never any like ill will at all. I've never been like, man, JiDion, man, I hate this mother. It was nothing like that. So just want to throw that out there. I've always checked out your content and supported it.
Hey man, that's love, bro. That's love, and I really appreciate that.
Yo, I got something to say.
I don't think that people would like my vote.
All right. Dear God, what do you want to talk about? Voting?
Your life is everything. You serve all purpose. You should treat yourself now and give yourself a piece of that oxygen in the ozone layer that's covered up so that you can breathe in this blue trap bubble. Because you know what I'm here for, to worship you. Love yourself. I mean that with 100%, with 1,000%.
I'm agree with JiDion. I don't vote.
You don't vote. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Why do you not vote?
I was watching. I just feel like it serves no purpose as far as the presidential candidate shit goes.
There you go.
Really?
Based.
How come?
You don't think Biden put in 20K?
What's up?
Wait, so you think that when it does count for presidential, or that's only when it counts, or you think it doesn't even count for presidents?
The reason why I don't agree with it is because, like, Obama's second term, like, nothing happened for Blacks. So, yeah, after that, I was like, you know what, I'm cool off voting. I feel like we were kind of swindled into voting for a Black president, and we got nothing out of it. Not saying we deserve, like, reparations or anything like that, but I feel like we got nothing. If anything, it was like rap songs and shit made, but yeah, Blacks got nothing.
Okay, but can you honestly say like the past like couple of years, like what's happened so far would be the same if Trump was in office instead? Do you think things would be like the same? No, like like the most recent election. Let's say Trump won again.
Wait, hold on real quick. I have to step away because I have a 10:30 business call that I got to do real quick. I just want to say real quick, the reason why Obama didn't do anything for a second term was because people voted. It's because Republicans voted and he lost the House and the Senate. Just as a heads up on that, but I'll be right back.
All right, so, I mean, was anything ever promised, like, for Blacks? I mean, not saying that I wouldn't need anything because, I'm not that type of person where I'm looking for free shit. But, nothing was done when Obama was in office for Blacks, but I think everything was done for LGBTQ, the Latino community.
Asian.
So after that,
don't forget the Asians.
Just fuck it. Oh, the Asian community as well?
Yeah, the Asians, man. Everybody got a little piece of that bread.
Nothing was done. And the thing is, I think since we're talking about voting, are we talking about Trump too?
Well, we're talking about voting in general.
Okay, I was about to say, I guess.
How is nobody saying shit?
Hold up. Do you guys notice the pattern that I'm talking about? Is like people don't think the system works, so they tune out of voting. And that's why I'm saying if you don't convince them that the system works and that it's work as intended, they're not going to give a fuck about voting. And so whether me, JiDion, Luthier God, or like the other 46% of people who don't vote, there's a disconnect there in regards to like feeling like the system doesn't work.
That's just because this stupid ass nigga doesn't know about fucking Obamacare, doesn't know about Obama phones, he doesn't know about anything the fucking Obama did.
Darius, you can't just come here and be fucking disrespectful and then have a civil conversation. I always tell you
that. We're not having a conversation. There's no point. If this dude don't know about basic shit, then what the fuck's the point of even talking to him?
Oh, Darius, calm down.
Yeah.
Is that?
Bro, he's the Bollywood nigga who says the N-word. He's really weird, bro.
Okay, I seen that cartoon PFP. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, no. It actually looks like him in real life. I don't know but apparently he does.
Yo, you gotta upgrade your mic quality, cartoon PFP.
God damn.
Sounds like it's talking into a pillow.
Darius, do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
What do you do on your YouTube
There we go.
channel?
It's a little bit crispy.
Yeah, it sound good now?
Yeah, it's much better.
What do you do on your YouTube channel, Darius?
Do you guys think Trump is going to run again?
Yep. He's going to announce in 8 days too. Watch.
What do you think is going to happen?
Beautiful.
More
He's gonna
riots.
lose miserably. That's all.
You think so?
Yeah, he won't even get out of the primary.
Whoa.
Why do you think that, Ira?
Because Ron DeSantis is way more popular. He has already started fight with him, threw some shade at him last night. Ron DeSanctimonious, so he knows.
Yeah, I've heard him called Mo Ron. He's
Well,
not my fave.
I thought Trump was going to jail. What happened to that?
Oh, he will, trust.
You think so?
Takes time. Yeah, you got to build a real solid case. You're going to put a president, ex-president in prison, you know what I mean?
Yo, I
Trump's
mean,
not
who's
going
his
to-
competition?
I do not think that he will go to jail.
Who's his
Anyone
competition?
actually think he's going to jail? He's not going to jail.
I hope that even if he does, that Elon Musk lets him get back on Twitter. That's really important to me.
Do you think Elon will run one day?
No.
No.
But I want Trump to get his Twitter back. I think the world was a better place when he did.
I think that's gonna happen.
I agree.
He'll get back.
What about you,
yeah.
professional Raw Dogger? Do you want him back on Twitter? Do you want him to have a voice again?
I just want to push back on something that Low Tier God said earlier. Just like the whole thing about like, oh, Obama isn't able to do shit for Black people in his second term. Like a lot of the things that he was like trying to pass was blocked by a Republican House and Senate. So the presidency isn't capable of like doing a bunch of shit by itself. It needs.
What was he
the
trying
Senate.
to pass for blacks though?
From what I understood, like there was probably reform having to do with like Obamacare and shit like that. But I can find specifics if you want. But either way, don't you think it's a little bit of like a fallacy that just because one president didn't do stuff for your community means that every president afterwards is not?
Well, let's keep it 100% factual. Anybody that was black only voted for Obama because he was black. Young Jeezy, he did like a stupid video. Oh, my president's black, my Lambo's blue. Like for some reason, we all thought we were just gonna get like, I don't know, a piece of Montana as soon as he got in office.
Remember the Obama phone?
No, I definitely didn't have one of those. But
what was the Obama phone?
Everybody, all the niggas were supposed to get phones.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, so I think people thought just because Obama got in office, just miraculously shit was gonna get better with the black community, but it did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, we needed somebody else to hate. So black people, we started hating Trump once he got in office for absolutely no reason. At first it was like 100 rap songs, probably like 150 rap songs that just loved Donald Trump. As soon as he got in office, we all hated him for no reason. So I guess we shifted our...
Low Tier, do you remember? Yeah. I think there was a perception that things would improve for black folks under Obama, and maybe they did, at least in the first term. But in the second term, I think one thing that I heard a lot of black folks say in the States was that basically, it's kind of weird that he passed this legislation for LGBTQ folks or Latinos or Asians, but there was nothing passed exclusively for black folks. And I think people felt a little bit betrayed considering he was the first black president. And so I think that was like part of the betrayal. Am I right?
I mean, that's correct, but I mean, you can't fix the black community. So
what kind of things would you have wanted him to pass?
That's what I'm saying. He technically couldn't have done anything because you can't fix the black community.
No, but you can certainly improve things. You don't think so?
Legislatively? Like how?
I mean, in order to have a tight-knit community in the first place, you have to have unity. You also have to have language. We lack that. First, we lack unity, and we lack language. So if we had a whole Jamaican community, they'd be getting together, having festivals, jerk chicken, everything like that. Black Americans, we can't be fixed.
Wait, so
as harsh as that sounds. So.
Jeez, do you really think that?
Wait,
I 100% think that.
You don't think things like the prison system currently hurts black communities? I mean,
it's your choice what you do. So, all right, here's a quick story. So, I used to drive this shit car. So it was me and my friend in the car. So we got pulled over because I had like Senate trees in my rearview mirror. So it's a certain way you act around cops. So we get pulled over. I'm quiet because I want to go home. My friend's irate because he just wants to talk shit. So that could have fucked up the whole situation. I mean, it's about choices.
Wait, so you don't think like black people are ever unfairly targeted by the criminal justice system? Or
I mean, I've never experienced racism. So, I mean, it's everything's a choice. I personally, being black, have never experienced racism.
So but you can understand just because you haven't experienced something doesn't mean that a lot of other people don't have that experience or do have an experience. Like I've never experienced being in a
what do you consider racism?
Other people don't.
I don't know, being called the N-word. I've maybe experienced prejudice. Like if I walk into a store, they might think,
so
just
like
by
violent
default.
racism.
Racism, I guess, would be just calling somebody a name. I guess that's blatant
or like
racism.
a hate crime. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Like I've never been picked on by anybody outside of the Black community growing up. So yeah, I've never experienced racism outside of that. I had one girl call me the N-word when I was 16 because I said she looked like Gonzo. So I guess maybe it was warranted. But outside of that, I mean, you can't. I mean, that's the Black community is just something you can't actually fix.
So if you think that if you're Black,
that racism has happened, even though you haven't experienced it, like can you acknowledge it happens to other people?
I mean, here's the thing: people get racism mixed up with prejudice. So it's easy to just say racist, but it's harder to break down and define like prejudice. Like, are people really fucking racist? Like, are people going around in America just really just hating Blacks? Or are they just prejudiced because of what they see on World Star Hip Hop?
Can I ask you, do you think representation matters?
Absolutely. Because if I put on World Star Hip Hop right now, what's the fuckery you see on the website?
Okay, so do you think like having a Black woman on the Supreme Court is a big deal?
I think it's a great thing. I think Black women
that wouldn't happen, but that wouldn't happen under Trump. That happened because Biden got up there.
I mean, probably it's a demographics issue. I mean, you gotta hire a Black guy if you have a Fortune 500 company. Like, it's demographics. So it's by law, you have to have a certain demographic in your company. I can't just, have a business and just hire all Blacks. I don't know. Can Black people do that when we have a Black-owned, in parentheses, business? Do we have to hire a white guy?
We can't. We just can't say it's only Black people. We got to be like, yes, they were the most qualified.
I feel like the thing to fix the Black community, and I feel like the Black community has to accept this first, is that we have to fix ourselves before we go to other races and like talk about other issues. Because, if you're not united on one accord, then it's hard to get certain bills passed. But what Low Tier God's saying that the Black community's like lost and it can't be found, I don't think that's true. Because I just think we're at war and we don't have a governor right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like once, there is an established head and there is someone that actually knows what they're talking about and everything like that, then everything will be good.
Who would that person be? Would that person be like a foundation, like head talking piece, or like a president?
We just had a foundation, Black Lives Matter, and everybody sees how that went.
Yeah.
So obviously, I feel like
so president.
Black people, we're visual learners. We have to look at somebody. We have to see someone, be about that action, do it, and stuff.
Yeah, for some reason we like to emulate.
And so, you saw it in the '60s with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and I feel like that has to be a perfect tandem. You have to have that one person who is the more lovey-dovey, and you have to
Stacey Abrams.
You have to have another person that's more raw truth and stuff. So I feel like if we get another tandem like them, I feel like it'll be great. But until that happens, we're low-key in shambles right now. But
you think that's not happening? Do you not think that there are like powerful Black figureheads right now? Like Stacey Abrams?
Stacey Abrams? I don't even know who that is.
Stacey Abrams is like she's basically who like got people to like Black people mostly to vote in where was it? I'm gonna say the wrong thing. Georgia. She like made sure. What did she try to pass to make sure that like Black folks could vote? She got a ton of people to vote that otherwise wouldn't have.
But you see, like, it all goes back to like voting and stuff. Like, I feel like this is like circling back to the thing before.
Well, that's how you take power. That's how you take power in a democracy.
How can you tell a group of people when we're already like, this is a Black issue? Like, we are not in agreement all together. No, like,
neither are white people.
When our culture, when we have the biggest promotion of us is rappers and athletes and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It's hard not to, have we're not getting the representation that we need. You go to Japan, all people are going to think is Michael Jordan or, Tupac.
Sure.
You go all over the world, they're not going to think about Martin Luther King. They're not going to think about Malcolm X because that's not what they're seeing on the media. That's not what's being shown. And it's really not what we don't have. We don't have that. We had Obama, but like,
Who would you say that is for white people?
For white people, it's not that you guys have a person. It's that you guys.
You just think black people need one.
They're more structured. White people are more structured than blacks.
Exactly. Like you guys have. Like you, if
say,
black people weren't in America right now, white people would be fine. Whereas if you took all black people out of America, if you took all black people out of America right now, gave us our own land and say, here you go, do your own thing, I'm not gonna lie, I do not think it would end well.
It would be like Smallville.
We would need to get together first. So yeah, you like we cannot just all leave America right now and have our own land and end well. It wouldn't.
So I have a question for a low tier god. If you say that like the black community like can't be helped, how do you live your day-to-day life? Like what do you like if you're just completely black pilled, so to speak? Like how do you live your day-to-day?
As an individual? I got to the point where I realized that in this realm, it's never going to be any unity involved. All my fights, physical fights, IRL have been with blacks. Anytime I've ever been teased for how I've spoken growing up, it's always been with blacks. Anytime I've had any beefs in real life, it's always been with blacks. But that's my personal experience. I still love being black. I still love black people, but I feel like it's just an unfixable issue. There's too much envy in the community, if you want to call it a community.
So, low tier,
it's definitely not fixable.
Lev, I got a question for you. What did you mean by the statement, black men mistreat and disregard black women?
Okay.
Damn, what we getting on that?
That's what I was actually going to bring up also, though, is I was going to talk about what you thought about the what you thought about Anna, Anna's viewpoints in general.
But before we tangent, can I tell low tier god something that I think
about the black experience?
Well, yeah, exactly. So as a white man, so no, hey, listen, I took a college class, okay? Yeah. So no, there was actually so the truth is that like this unity is an illusion, and I'm talking about for white folk, for black folk, for whoever. Like if you look at white history or whatever, we have this big narrative of like, oh, we've been organized for so long, but if you look at like the 1800s were a mess. Like everybody was fighting everybody over everything all the time, and they all had different ideas. And even in like the early 20th century, Zora Neale Hurston, who's a black female author who grew up a few miles away from my house, she rejected Black Harlem because there was like a Black Illuminati, there was like a Black Enlightenment movement where they were trying to say, we're going to create our own culture, we're going to do our thing, we're going to get money, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But what they thought was fancy, what they thought was correct, was adopting to white culture. So they wanted everybody to be really well read and really well spoken and really fit into like white expectations of what black folk were supposed to be. Whereas Zora Neale Hurston basically said, fuck you, there's parts of our culture that should be independent and we shouldn't adapt in this, that, the other way. So what I'm trying to point out is that like, if you're looking for like a perfect unity or cohesion of culture, it's never going to happen. And basically the only thing that you can do is advocate for your group as best as you can.
Yeah, that's the point that I'm trying to make when I say that it's unfixable. I think we got to get past
do you mean external or internal? Because like you fixed it for yourself, right?
I would say as a whole. So if we're going internal, right? It starts from within. So my thing is the envy. The envy is almost like it can be fixed in the community. And I feel like we're blaming the wrong people. So when we want to blame slavery on, I guess Europeans, so on and so forth, if you really read back, I don't know if you ever heard of the Dohimbi tribe or something like that.
The Dohimbi, the Benin. Yeah, Benin. Yeah.
So they were responsible for 1/3 of African slavery. So they sent over like 500,000 blacks to America.
Do you know what movie was based off of them recently?
The Woman King.
Yeah, and not only that, do you know who the female warriors from Wakanda are based off of?
Yeah. So yeah,
the fucking female warriors of Benin.
Exactly. So I mean, we got to get out of the whole blaming system. I feel like what we do now is when we don't get our way, we try to use that pandering card. Now, a lot of people probably think I'm trying to, I guess, maybe be on the white side. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I do is I go against the grain. but I still like, I'm still for blacks and for positivity and everything like that, which is one of the misconceptions that I had like a couple months ago with JiDion. Like, it never was I was like trying to diss or anything like that. I was just like, yo, you're blessed, this and that. Maybe it's not like a racial issue. And I was trying to think of like maybe a bigger issue like business 101, because I'm a business major. So, you know, I'm a business graduate. So I look at things differently. So when I go and I read back that one of the biggest, you know, slave trades, or some of the biggest slave trades, were Africans themselves, who do we really have to blame? And when do we pick up the pieces and just say, you know what, fuck it, let's just, you know, let's be like the new Asian or something. Let's get a San Gabriel. There'll never be a black San Gabriel.
Well, the shit for me though is like, so I see it both ways. The one thing that you said that I super agree with is like, how about I stop trying to blame, or white people stop trying to blame black folk for problems, black folks stop trying to blame white people, and we just say, hey, the country's a mess, why don't we fix it? Like, that would be an infinitely better attitude to adopt, is, hey, it's fucked up, let's fix it. But when we say, hey, it's fucked up, let's fix it, I can't help but notice that, like, we, like, Republicans, conservatives, like, I come from that world. We always talk about equality of opportunity. We always talk about like, oh, in America, you can be anything, you can do anything. But that dream is kind of dying with the way our economy is set up. And then also not just that, but like educational access, or high quality educational access, that's a major problem. Like, a lot of people who go to dog shit schools end up having dog shit results later on in life. So that's kind of my thing, where it's like, I don't give a what you call it disparate outcomes, call it systemic racism, call it whatever the fuck you want, but recognize there's a problem and we should all be pushing in the same direction.
I feel like it's like, you know, if a overweight person goes to the gym, but they're forced to go to the gym, you know, they don't want to help themselves, but they want to get back in shape, so they go to they're like, help me. Then the trainer's like, okay, do you want to get back in shape? How hard are you willing to work? It's like, well, you know, I just want you to do your stuff. It's like, okay, but you have to do the work. It has to be on you. And I feel like we haven't really accepted that. Like, if black people to get reparations today, I still feel like it'll be like a major problem, just because like
I just had this conversation.
We wouldn't have, like, Dave Chappelle made a whole skit about it. If black people had got reparations today, they were like, you know what, all people get the reparations. It wouldn't go to the right things, you know, it wouldn't go to the right infrastructure to have generational wealth, and that'll be trickled down to generation upon generation. You know, it's already bad enough that like when someone has like a black business, you know, it's like sometimes we dog each other. It's not like, yo, let me support that. You know, it's like, oh, look at him trying to do this, you know, like Ice Cube, he just created the Big Three, which is the first recognized African-American sports league in American history, you know? And, you know, I too, you know, Alba, do you watch the Big Three?
Hell no.
Little Trick God, do you watch the Big Three?
I watch that shit.
Exactly. I don't watch it either. So, but it's like, you know, in spirit, I support it, but am I supporting it financially? Am I shutting it out on my social media?
Bro,
am I doing all this? No.
I'm going to keep it a stack with you. I ain't supporting something just because it's black. It's got to be quality. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's just not part of my interest. Maybe if I was a huge basketball fan, I might watch that shit, but
I feel you. I feel you too. It does have to be quality, but this is the thing. You see, like, okay, let's say this isn't quality, okay? But we're supporting something, the NBA, which has been around forever and is majorly run by
white people profiting off of black athletes.
Exactly.
Okay, what kind of white people?
Is there any
Shut the fuck up.
Is there any black owners in the NBA? Like I don't know. I feel like that's ridiculous that there's not at least one. Oh, except for Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's the only, and for him to be an owner, he has to be the greatest basketball player of all time.
Yeah.
You feel me? So he has to be the exception of the exception of the exception, just to be at the top tier of the.
Doesn't Jay-Z own a team?
He owns like a small percentage
of the Nets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not the Nets. I'm pretty sure. Wait, who owns a portion of the Nets?
Jay-Z owns like a small percentage.
Yeah.
Jay-Z, yes.
So
Someone
if you guys,
but he put himself in that position because he let go of the whole systematic racism bullshit. Like, so when everybody was kneeling, and
I don't think he did.
When everybody was kneeling, take a look at this. When everybody was kneeling, Jay-Z was like, you know what? I'm going to go talk to the NFL and get shit back going again. I know everybody said Jay-Z is all about his money first and then everything else second. But I mean, to fix shit sometimes it's not always just like a big black issue. Like he got shit going again because he sat down with the NFL. Once people seen like a positive black figure say, fuck it, let's put it behind us, play football and get this money, I felt like that's when shit started picking up again. Because let's keep it real. Complaining or us going on strike or anything like that, that's not going to do anything. At the end of the day, like if basketball players go on strike, it solves nothing. If we all kneel, it solves nothing. If anything, in America, let me say something real quick. In America, I feel like what black people need to understand is that at the top of the tier, we're allowed to be millionaires. So anybody that's black can be a famous millionaire. So what the f are you complaining for? I mean, we got people like Blueface who's rich. You're going to tell me that you see somebody that's rich as like that around and you're still complaining? This is America. Anybody can get money.
That's not
there was
the exception.
Yeah,
no, I think he's just saying that's the viewpoint of those people. I don't think that he actually believes that.
You guys are hanging around two billionaires, okay? Two black millionaires. Don't tell us we're the exception.
Okay, so then this is kind of my point. Is I felt like there was a real political moment that happened basically in the wake of George Floyd, where everybody, largely conservative Americans, were like anti-BLM, anti-police reform, any kind of criticism of the police, blah blah blah. But then after George Floyd was like so fucked up that you basically had 2/3 of the country that was behind police reform, and then that got squandered. This is kind of the thing where, for me, I get a little pissy. I don't know if IRI is still listening or not, but for me, I feel like the political class just completely dropped the ball on police reform during that moment, because there's real things you could do, like federal subsidy.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
before he comes back, I just want to say
I think this is all cope. This is all cope. All this talk about the exception. Honestly, if people are struggling and they got these issues, they can use the creator kit. They can find ways to get money. They can get the skills they need. I know plenty of people who run courses. So I feel like if you haven't used, if you're struggling, if you're 18 or whatever you're watching, then you should try out the creator kit.
Yo,
wait, no, I want to. Okay, yeah, sorry, you go first.
Can I ask you a question, Alba?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think? What do you think about the black community? Do you think it's more of do you think the black community is the lost cause, or do you think it needs a leader and govern to kind of help, okay, this is what we should be doing, yada yada yada, where it's not everybody has to follow this, but mostly the vast majority is moving in this way, back in the 60s.
Let me counter you with a counter argument. So to JiDion and Lotier, I'm going to ask you too. Okay, and this is something I think about all the time. It's on one hand we're all black, on the other hand is you don't know how much you're tied to each other. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of said that too, alluded to earlier, but how much of a community is it really? It's I think so long as we tie ourselves to this idea that kind of blackness is going to constantly unite us, I don't think there's going to be much opportunity for much uniting. I don't think there's that much of a bonding factor as you make it out to be. And maybe people say this because I'm of African descent. Well, Lotier, what are you? Caribbean?
I'm a mutt.
Okay.
I don't 100% know. I know my dad was adopted. I'm gonna label myself as black.
Okay.
But you see, that's the thing about especially American black people is bro, when I went to the UK, I felt like that different. Was the most eye-opening experience, because I would have people be like, "Oh, yo, what are you?" I was just be like, "Oh, I'm from Texas," and they'd be like, "Man, if you don't shut the fuck up with that,
can you answer that question?
Are you Nigerian? Are you And then it's it really puts a spotlight on me, and I'm just like, damn, I don't know exactly where I'm from. I don't know what my heritage is. And,
different.
Absolutely. And it's I'm not gonna lie, it's low-key a really it's kind of a scary thing. It's kind of it's like having Alzheimer's, It's you fucking ended up somewhere and you don't know how you got there. You feel me?
We got to do 23andMe.
Exactly.
Can I ask y'all a question that might be kind of contentious?
Sure.
Someone brought up an something that Ice Cube just did, something positive that he just did.
Oh, he created the big three.
What is that?
It's a basketball league.
Yeah.
The greatest basketball league where they play 3-on-3 with all the guys who can no longer play in the NBA or never made it.
Y'all were talking about like Kanye earlier and like the anti-Semitic comments and Kyrie Irving, and like Ice Cube has a history of, I think he's like either tweeted some like anti-Semitic memes and stuff like that.
No, he got some lyrics. He got some lyrics talking about the Jews.
Okay.
What year did he say those lyrics in?
The lyrics were like, everybody got to pay their money to a Jew or something like that. I might have made it up, but it sounded like it involved money and Jews. That's all you need to know.
What year was it though?
This was part of NWA.
I don't know.
Okay, that's why he got away with it. That's why he got away with it.
Damn right.
Ice Cube was speaking out against like Kanye West, and he literally tweeted like, "Please leave my name out of all the anti-Semitic talk. I'm not anti-Semitic. I've never been anti-Semitic." And like people were saying like, "But you shared anti-Semitic memes," because I think he did. I think it went beyond the lyrics. I think he did share some memes that had like bankers basically, and he was kind of alluding to like a Jewish cabal or like the Illuminati.
Yes.
And I think Steven was saying earlier that he thinks that there's like a particular problem with anti-Semitism in the Black community. Or like, what do y'all think about that?
I feel like I think Kanye said it in an interview where a lot of Black people, we say stuff and it's just stuff that we've heard for so long. Like, it's like kind of like white people not seasoning food or stuff like that, where we think it's some backhanded shit where we don't think it's racist, but it's just like when you do put a magnifying glass to it, it's just like, oh shit, this low-key does have some like racial origins. And I think in a clip, Kanye was talking about how he was talking about Jewish people, and he was saying how like that's just how he's always grown up to learn. But it's just like, it's like, where did you learn that from? Because when you look back and see where all these tropes of like Jewish people own all the banks and stuff like that and all this and that, when you tie it all back, it ends up being like white supremacist groups saying that stuff. So it's just like byproducts of stuff we've heard, but we think it's just stuff that we've always been told.
I don't even think it's that deep. You want how about I tell you this? Like, this is true for like a lot of minority communities, but there's just a lot of prejudice against other communities, period. And so if you think about Asians, oftentimes the representation of Asians in Black communities is generally the guy who owns the liquor store or owns the corner store or whatever. And so they have that relationship with the Asian community through that lens. Or if you think about anti-whiteness sentiment, is generally seeing them through the lens as like, these are the police officers or these are the racist folks that we encounter from time to time. So there's a prejudice against white folks to some degree in regards to like racial experiences that you have. And so you think about Jewish folks, and then you hear being rapped about all the time, or these are the guys who are in power, and these are the guys who are fucking over the people and the record labels and doing all this stuff. So from a media perspective, the way that you internalize it is generally negative. So in terms of prejudice or like negative sentiments to a lot of minority groups, it's done through the lens of these people have power and they f us over often, and so there's a bit of a negative resentment there. Or these people have mistreated us, and it's kind of like a constant media portrayal that's like a feedback loop.
Listen, I got a little bit more anti-Semitic in this conversation because a powerful Jewish man pulled me out of the chat temporarily because we were talking about Black unity. So I'm getting a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about Dan?
Yeah.
you guys remember? I remember Dave Chappelle had this bit about like him going to the corner store, and the way that he described the man who ran the convenience store as being incredibly suspicious the moment he walked in, is the way that a lot of people have encountered experiences with the Asian community in terms of like being in their corner stores within a lot of inner city spots.
What was that one movie? The movie where the guy shot Menace to Society, I think. Where like the Asian people were like, hurry up, and he like ended up shooting them in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, like even in our media, like, like.
When people say it's anti-Semitism, I always cringe a little bit because I think of anti-Semitism, I think of the sentiments that ferment society to lead to the point where it creates the Holocaust or whatever. And I don't think the sentiment that Black folks are espousing in regards to like that would lead to that outcome. I understand that the roots may seem similar. I just don't think like the power structure.
The roots are exactly the same.
Yes, but I think where the starting point. I think the starting points of the people involved are not, and I think the power dynamics involved are not. And so I understand the historical context.
Why would you let that get loose in the first place? This is why white people bitch.
But you guys understand? Like, hold, you guys understand the relationship that they have to some degree with other minority groups is similar to the relationship that they have with the Jewish community. You guys are saying it's different because there's Jews involved, but I would argue that if you polled most people and you ask them like their opinions of like either the Asian folks or the white people or Jewish folks specifically, they would have probably the same negative sentiment towards each group, irrespective of like.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem with that is that now we live in a technological age where Black and white people are integrating at rates that they never have before. So if Black people online are sharing these anti-Semitic memes, these anti-Semitic sentiments, and white people are sharing these anti-Semitic sentiments, it's like Germany uniting against Jews again. So I'm Jewish. I'm in a bunch of Jewish spaces. And we see right now, like more than ever, are people like Groypers and Black people, the two most like unlikely allies, coming together and spewing this like crazy shit. And it's extremely reminiscent of Germany in the 1940s. Where it doesn't start with let's kill all Jews. It starts with this is who's in power, or even questions about it. Like this is who. Why are these people in power? What is? And then like this false kind of narrative that the money hungry, the jokes. It starts with jokes. Like these are things. It just snowballs.
But this is where like right wingers or liberal anti-social justice warriors get pissy or whatever, and the Black folk can play their smallest violin for me. But when you like normalize like rhetoric where you're like all people are in this X group are pieces of shit because of whatever reason. When you talk about like the dialogue of whiteness, when it comes to intersectionality or CRT or whatever, that shit it can be flipped on its head so fucking fast because Asians and Jews technically do better than white Americans. So if you go from a systemic analysis perspective, you could just as easily arrive at anti-Asian or anti-Jewish sentiment.
I saw some dude on TikTok, he was breaking it down and he was basically saying like the anti-Semitic rhetoric.
That shit ain't gonna work for me.
Why they're like, why why is this a bad thing? We're saying they're good with money. We're saying all this and everything like that. But the guy was like, the reason why it's a bad thing
this shit, right?
If someone came out and was like, Black people are stupid, their brains don't function the same and stuff like that, they're viewing Black people as not as a threat and just like, lower. Whereas
we'll see if it works because I'm gonna Elgato Cam link.
People are good with their money. Oh, they always stick together. Oh, they control everything. They're saying that out of like a place of fear, and they're saying because they view them as a way of a threat and stuff like that. So when he put it in that perspective, I was like, it really clicked for me. I was like, wow, I like it really hit for me like why people I can see like how that can be very alarming and stuff because it's just like that's why Hitler did what he did because he saw Jewish people as a threat.
Okay, can I ask a quick question? So I would argue that Black folks as a whole probably have a more negative sentiment towards white people specifically than they do against Jewish people. Do we think that the anti-white sentiment in the Black community is going to ferment some kind of white Holocaust?
No, but I think it's more dangerous because white people don't hate white people. So you have like a big enough community who's hating Jewish people, who's also like a mega minority now. Like now, Jewish people there's less Jewish people than there are Black people, and then you put into perspective that they've already gone through a Holocaust. They're the highest when it comes to hate crime rates. Like even you are more likely as a Jewish man to get hate crimed than you are a Black man. Like this is true in America because there's just less of them. Like on the street.
So you're saying more people hate Jewish folks and Jewish folks are small in numbers, so it's more dangerous?
Yes, because they don't have any institutions put in place to like protect them, and also nobody gives a fuck.
Right, I need to start making more babies so we can get this Jew hate on.
I think people do give a fuck. Like there's been a lot of
people do not. Dude, there was anytime a synagogue is shot up, nobody gives a fuck. It's in the news for a day. And that, dude, it's like it's gnarly.
That's so cap.
That's not cap. It's not cap.
That's okay.
No, I think sometimes
no. That's cap.
No. Like
the last time that happened.
About is kind of true. Like at Parkland, the Nicholas Cruz shooting, I think in Florida, that school that he shot up was like majority Jewish, and I didn't really hear like any media outlets. I could be wrong. Somebody could link me articles. Cover on the fact that I think a lot of his of the motivation for that crime and that school shooting had to do potentially with anti-Semitism. But like another thing I wanted to bring up was y'all were saying that like I think Abba, you're kind of making the like there's making the argument that there's anti-Semitism within the Black community, so there is some prejudice there, but y'all don't have the power to actually like enact that prejudice or meaningfully. And of course, I know you're saying it's still bad, but what do you think about like the Breakfast Club having like Louis Farrakhan and like Charlemagne the God kind of like talking about like defending and playing defense for these figures who are like openly anti-Semitic in a lot of different ways?
Charlemagne the God is not, bro. Charlemagne the God.
He's the GOAT.
The fuck out of
y'all don't.
He's
you don't like him?
GOAT. What you mean? I'm gonna take up for Charlotte.
Charlemagne the God denounced the hell out of Kanye.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
I mean, the real reason why
did
Kanye
you see
is
the Charlemagne the God clip from 10 years ago?
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Wait, you don't think he should have denounced him?
Huh?
You don't think he should have denounced him, JiDion, for the comments that he made?
Well, denounced who?
I don't know.
For like the anti-Semitic comments that he made.
Maybe you guys feel the same about this, but I feel like the way that Shaq and everybody in the Black media came out super strongly with their like, oh, I'm so sorry that you guys. I feel like y'all doing a bit too much. This is a little bit.
That's exactly what I feel. I feel like
y'all look like y'all about to cry.
Like what place does Shaq or Charlemagne the God have to denounce Kyrie for saying something anti-Semitic?
Because I think they're around Jewish people but they're around Jewish people who they love. They work. Okay, sure, but also these are their friends. This is who they're around. Of course they're gonna care.
I mean, like if someone dropped a hard R and they're like, "Love, you know what? We need to get Love to denounce this person." Like, why are we going to Love to denounce someone that said the hard R? You feel me? Like, why out of everybody, why you?
Can I answer a question Abba asked a second ago? So basically, do white people think that a black genocide against white people is coming? No, but white people are trending towards a minority status in the country. So unless there like becomes like a racial conservative alliance between conservative Hispanics, conservative whites, and conservative blacks, it could get really ugly along racial lines, and that's what people are afraid of.
Well, it's more so.
I feel like it was very smart. I feel like it was very smart that they got every single
Lord Southern.
I feel like it was very smart that they got every single.
Don't talk shit about my boy.
It's not gonna happen.
Like what I saw was like whenever they had everybody go like when Kanye said what he said, they didn't go to Jay-Z or Drake or anybody to.
Oh no, they tried. They emailed everybody and said, "Hey, how do you feel about doing a comment?" And then they slid them a couple of checks. They said, "Yo, listen, we'll pay you to do this."
But like Shaq and Chuck and LeBron, like it's like why ask them? You feel me? I'm not saying you should denounce Kyrie, but why ask LeBron? Why ask Shaq? Why ask Chuck? None of them are Jewish. Members. None of them are Jewish. The only thing about them is that they're prominent black athletes. And me personally, I feel like came forward and said that Kanye was. I feel like it was more to set a I feel like it was more to set a point of like
get in line.
We have the biggest black figures to say Kyrie was wrong. I honestly think that. I feel like
do you not think that's a matter of your algorithm? Because what I saw is Jamie Lee Curtis come forward crying about it on like The View or something.
That was the most
of course
cringe.
it was. Of course it was cringe. But I'm wondering because like I didn't see all these like black people come forward and were like, be nice to the Jews.
It's because you don't watch Sports Laugh. But if anybody turned into ESPN,
I do watch sports.
it was 48 hours of like rabbis telling NBA players who can barely read that they're that they need to apologize.
That's corny. Yeah.
They're like, yo, get in line.
Like
we got checks coming.
Like this is the type of energy that like I feel like politicians should have if they say something, you know, anti-Semitic or racist, you know, not a basketball player.
Don't you think that's kind of racist on its face too? Like getting all these black people to answer for like one mentally ill black person is like crazy.
Yeah,
it's not that it's racist. It's that they know.
I think it's racist.
You have to make an example, and they want to make an example out of Kyrie. It's just
I guess it just shows how
cool.
Shaq's an NBA player though, or like he was an NBA player. He's involved in it. That makes sense. But do you take frustration with the fact that you felt like individual black like prominent black men and celebrities were made to answer for like another black man's like anti-Semitism, and you think that's bullshit? Or like why don't you like this the denouncing? Because they didn't organically do it themselves, or because like you kind of felt like they were asked to, or do you think that that's like a big
I don't think
virtue
they were asked
signal?
to. I think they were told to. I really genuinely think they were told to. I think even before
By
like because bro, all these
Who laughed?
okay, that's not you know, I'm not here to answer that question, but what I do know
this
for
is
a fact
okay.
is
I want you to be careful. I want you to be careful because this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
You know, I'm not saying
it's funny,
I'm not saying a
it's funny,
particular group or
but
nothing.
this is the stuff that gets people to start fucking being suspicious
But
of a very
definitely
small
before-
minority. So it's a little spooky. You have to walk the line a little bit.
Okay, but this small minority out of 10, how powerful would you say it is?
Discord can.
Jews? I mean, when you look at like who's Jewish in like the House and Senate, like not a lot of. Are there a bunch of people in the media who are Jewish?
I'm talking
Sure.
about titans. I'm talking about titans.
What do you mean titans? Like the most
talking about,
wealthy?
People,
millionaires.
people who are wealthy, influential, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Tell me, like how overrepresented are they?
Here's the thing. Do you think
overrepresented?
Do you think that Jews, like, how do you think that Jews got there? Like, I talk to the Groypers about this all the time because they think that there's like this conspiracy that like Jewish people have like somehow taken over like all this money on purpose. Like, why do you think there are so many rich Jewish people?
Yeah, and can I point out something horrific after you answer that question?
If you're asking me the why, I don't know the why, and there's probably a valid reason why that would explain.
But you have to think about the why when you bring up the what. Like you have to.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying I don't even think you're allowed in mainstream media to even say that that's true. Now you can get to the why. I just don't think you can openly even say that.
I just want to get to the why this very quickly, and then I'll let everyone talk. Like I hate whenever this point is brought up because you know the vast majority of people are like millionaires or like billionaires or straight up Christian, and yet like we don't talk. And like there's a fucking Vatican Church, right? Like oh my God, the Christianity has so much like power over the world, whatever.
The Mormons, how much money they're funneling in?
Yeah, you don't hear about like this vast like Christian.
How much power does Christians really do have over the world?
That's facts, man.
Anybody can talk shit about a Christian.
What do you mean? How?
Bro, if I went on Twitter right now and said some stuff about Jesus and everything like that, I might just piss off a couple of my fans and stuff like that, but I would never get canceled. But we all see what happens, and this is
we all see because the Jews went through a genocide not even 100 years ago. We're still a little sensitive about it.
Was 200 years ago. You know, at some point we gotta move forward.
Well,
do you think that Jewish people are kind of like oversensitive about like the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, or no?
Yeah, I mean, low key.
Really?
Wait, what? Because I don't feel like Jews bring it up ever.
You know what I mean? Listen. You know, segregation was like 40, 50 years ago. We got to get over that. I mean, at some point, motherfuckers got to get over it.
Don't you think Jews have gotten over it? They've created their own wealth. They've created their own communities.
It does sound like it. The way I saw Charles Barkley crying, and then Sarah Lee Thomas, the old white lady.
It's just a trauma. It's just a trauma. So it's the same thing. Black people are talking about the prison industrial complex in the same way because it scares you.
Not just because it scares, but also because like there's still effects on both. Like today, like you can't just pretend that like this was basically grandparents' generation. Like no, like now the effects have gone away because we're over with that time period. Like holy fuck, it wasn't that far ago.
All I'm saying is this: sometimes I want to be able to just criticize somebody and not it be because they're a woman. And other times I want to be able to criticize a Jewish person and not be because they're Jewish. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like they're too sensitive.
But when you criticize, especially when you're talking about the
you know what I mean? They just got to pick themselves up by the bootstraps and just keep it pushing.
Abba, the problem is when you're talking about the what in response in when you're talking about Jewish wealth, when you're talking about the what, there's the implicit shadow of the why, which can be hateful. So you need to be sensitive about it. And you haven't answered. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you think? Why do you think Jews are
when he's done? Can I answer why without Dan pulling me out?
On that point, Abba, I think the problem is that like when you criticize misogyny, doesn't look like the Jewish question. Like anti-Semitism presents in exactly the way that Lav is saying, where people kind of gesture and imply that there's disproportionate Jewish representation and control, and they're getting at that there's a Jewish conspiracy, that Jewish people are making up their oppression, that there is a cabal, that they are conspiring to revolt against the United States. I don't see the woman question. You know, I don't hear, like, misogyny doesn't really present in the way that anti-Semitism does, where people think that like women are involved in like cabals to like oppress men or something like that. It's a lot more denigrating or benevolent. I think that's you're saying like, well, if I can criticize women without being called misogynistic, why can't I criticize a Jewish person without being called anti-Semitic? And it's like, well, the way that you were kind of presenting it, you know, by asking that question, like, I don't know, that's like kind of like classic anti-Semitism, my dude.
Well, wait, okay, well, here, we're just using the examples that we have at hand with Kyrie. Everybody knows exactly what he did, right? He shared the link to the book.
To one of the greatest documentaries ever made. Yeah.
Has not answered the question, and it's really important when he's talking about that he thinks that Jews are being too sensitive, and he won't answer this question. Come on, answer the question, Abba. Why do you think Jewish people are rich?
I think they're just born this way.
Nah.
So it's in their blood.
All right, can I do it?
Structure.
So. All right, so I'm gonna do it. I want 2 minutes, Dan. Leave me alone. So basically, if you look at medieval history, during medieval history, Christians were prohibited from usury, and as a result, a lot of Jews were forced into business as a trade. And on top of that, it behooved them, by the way, this is from Jewish history, to integrate themselves into the society in the most useful ways possible. That way, they wouldn't be persecuted or killed because they were too useful to be persecuted or killed. Also, when you talk about the modern 20th century and it comes to Israel, with Israel, it was not a foregone conclusion that the state of Israel would be successful. There were plenty of times that it was almost destroyed. And people basically had to back each other up in order to make sure that the state was formed. This included, by the way, taking technologies from Western countries that prohibited the sale of technologies that were necessary for Israel to succeed. And as a result, you get all these conspiracy theories about Mossad when they actually operate pretty much similarly to the United States CIA. And the reason why they have to be aggressive with both allies and foreigners, I'll wrap this up in a second, is because they're on a fucking state the size of Rhode Island surrounded by hostile neighbors. So they always have to be on guard. They have to be smart.
And also, they weren't put there because people felt bad for the Jews after the Holocaust. Nobody wanted to live with them, so they delegated a place in a place that they thought that they could have control.
Well,
that's another thing.
I do not appreciate.
Final quote. Abba, I love you. Final quote. Brett and Eric Weinstein from the Weinstein brothers, they said this, and I think it's really smart to keep in mind. The reason why Jews celebrate Passover is because the Jews who waited for the bread to rise did not escape Egypt. And so that's like a mentality that's been passed on for thousands of years, that if you are not on guard and if you don't survive, or if you don't pay attention to your own survival, it will be taken from you. And I'll shut up now. Thanks, Dan.
That's fine, but also
that was a very base take.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing. I say as a pro-Palestinian individual, I don't want to listen to two pro-Israeli individuals just go on and on about Israel's right to exist.
Wait.
So I just want to say that.
Let Abba respond. Let Abba finish. Let Abba finish his response.
No. This is a problem because you said two pro-Israel individuals. Who are those pro? Are you saying that because I'm Jewish? You think I'm pro-Israel? This is a problem, Abba.
What are you doing? I'm pro-Israel.
Okay, that's fine.
Like, I'm pro-Israel.
Wait, I'm pro-Israel.
That's like what a strange thing. What a strange thing to assign to an American Jewish person. This is what I mean. I don't think
it's that strange. It's a generational thing. There were plenty of people.
It's not strange, but what it is it's fucked up. Like it is. This is lowball anti-Semitism, and it's fucked up, and you need to call it out.
I got a question for Counterpoints.
Sure.
So everything you said that the Jewish people were able to do you think that could have been replicated by blacks? Don't worry about being racist. I'm a new age black. It doesn't matter.
No. And,
exactly.
and actually,
wait. Careful. Qualify that. What do you mean when you say no?
Yeah. So what I mean by actually, this is really interesting. Again, I'll try to be brief. West Africa actually has like very specific geography and topography and agriculture that's required, and jungle, mountains, agriculture, all this kind of stuff, where a lot of the technologies that were used in the Mediterranean and Europe weren't required in West Africa, and so and they wouldn't even be that useful in West Africa. And so basically the development that's required, where you're constantly under threat and pressure from other groups to develop technologically, I just don't think it was present in West and South Africa until the arrival of colonialism. So, yeah.
Are any of you guys Jewish in here?
So going on that real quick.
I was Jewish.
You just explained how basically it was almost written. So since it was almost written, maybe this is the actual order of blacks. When you think about it, we're probably not supposed to be on that wavelength.
I don't think so.
This is just the way it was written. It's premonition.
Wait,
but hold up. So I think that nature and nurture feed into each other, and people evolve over time, and they also evolve with technology. So for instance, like an American black person who lives in the United States is going to have a completely different experience than a West African black person in the 19th century or even now. And also, like, geography is going to determine resources. Resources is going to determine wealth. Wealth is going to determine education. Education is going to determine opportunity. Opportunity is going to determine the next generation's opportunity, so on and so forth. And as a species, I think it's our job to try to enable the maximum of human potential in each successive generation.
All right, I got a funny question for you. Why do you think black people don't get credit for Egypt?
Because they're West African and Egyptians are North African. Sorry.
like I know that's a topic. I just had to say that. Yo, Abba, what do you have to say about that? You're African. Did he leave?
I think Abba's probably North African or East African.
He's going to a synagogue right now to repent.
No.
Nah, I doubt that.
Where did Abba go?
Or why did it was random?
I kind of want to push back on something that Low Tier God said earlier that was basically like, oh, like people just have to like choose better, et cetera, et cetera. And then like, I don't know, I felt like you were responding kind of weird when it came to the whole idea of like, does racism exist or do people experience it outside of yourself, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to point out something quickly. You said, oh, Black people just have to choose better. And I think, I don't know if you've obviously taken this into consideration, but whatever. There's a huge problem where Black people just literally choose the same thing as like a white person, but they will be punished for it. For like the best way you can see that is when it comes to drugs, right? When it comes to like marijuana convictions or like the rate of usage when it comes to a lot of drugs are similar between Black and white people, yet Black people are much more likely to be punished for it. So I think it's weird when you're like, oh, you just have to like choose better when you're making the same choices as other races in certain areas, and yet you're still being punished or basically being punished more for it.
Okay. So if I know that the system, you know, Black people say the system is against us. If I know that the system is metaphorically against us, why would I try to replicate the same thing that everybody else is doing, knowing good and well I would not be able to get off the same way? So if I run at a cop and I'm big and I'm Black, I'm 6'5", I'm like 219, right? So if I'm big and I'm Black and I run at a cop, you motherfucker, like what do I think is gonna happen? But if I'm looked at as a non-threat, because most police officers, a lot of them that aren't raised in an urban area, when they see Blacks, they see everything that is happening on the screen. They don't see the positive side. They see what's going on in World Star Hip Hop, so on and so forth. So me being 6'5" and Black, anytime I've gotten pulled over, I know how to act accordingly because I know shit can go left if I don't act accordingly. I'm not doing that because I'm being a good boy, you know, to the white cop, but I know how the world is structured. Therefore, I'm gonna sit there. I'm not gonna talk back, and I'm gonna leave. Every time I've followed suit when I got pulled over, I never got a ticket from a white cop. But
and as the next cop, sorry, real quick. If I pull over Lavloon,
I'm crying and I'm going away scot-free.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
No, if I pull over Low Tier God or if I pull over Lavloon, who am I? Like, even if we have a perfectly good conversation and it's all pleasant, who am I going to be more on edge around?
You're going to be on edge around me because that's what you're
6'2", Black male, 220 pounds. If I get into a fight, it's going to be rough.
6'5".
6'5". He's an inch taller than me, and I'm a tall motherfucker.
It's almost like we give up more of a threat.
You can be on your best behavior, or you can act even better than white people. But the point is that in certain areas, prejudice is so strong that like it doesn't really matter, right?
Wait. I think we gotta be really careful. Hold on, real quick. We have to be really careful when we say that. It always matters. There's never a case where it doesn't matter. Like, people can always like do better, even if there are some cases where the odds are stacked against you. There's never ever a case where it doesn't matter. Yeah.
You probably agree with Anna then. Did you watch all of those conversations? Because she talks a lot about personal accountability and stuff like that.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I didn't chime in. Was it yesterday?
It was. I think it's been most of the week.
Okay, yeah. I've chimed in a couple of times. My thing is, I've made the correct choices in life to where I didn't have to experience the bullshit that maybe other Black people have put themselves in those situations that could have actually been prevented. Anytime, now I'm just bringing it back to something that Black people complain about, being arrested or being mistreated by cops. I have acted accordingly. The only cop that ever impounded one of my vehicles was a Black cop. Everybody else let me go. You don't have insurance? Oh, okay, get the insurance, I'm gonna give you a ticket. The time I was caught by a Black cop, I happened to be driving on a suspended license like hella years ago, right?
Did you grow up in a Black or white area?
So I was raised a little bit in LA, and then I moved to the high desert, which is like somewhat suburban, but they're still like multicultural.
Interesting.
Okay, but you can agree that even if you acted the best way, et cetera, there can be somebody out there who acts the best way, and it doesn't matter. Like if somebody already
do you think it doesn't matter, really?
Well, let me finish the sentence.
Every single video I've seen.
What I mean by it doesn't matter, right? What I'm saying is that there can be a person out there who acts in their best behavior, and if you have a cop that is like already so prejudiced or so scared or whatever, they're gonna see everything that Black person does as a potential threat, or they're gonna already basically have believe
it happens, but how often do you think that happens?
Well, I just want to make sure that low tier God acknowledges that happens, because
racism exists.
Earlier when I was pressing on it, he was like, just make better choices. So that's why I'm asking and clarifying.
Free Abba in the chat right now, man. Free Abba in the chat. They fucking locked him up. Free him.
I don't make excuses. Like, I understand how shit can go. So for me, it's all about choices. If you know being Black in America is dangerous, especially when it comes to law enforcement and how you're perceived, why don't you act accordingly? I was in Neiman Marcus, right? I could afford anything in there. I went in there. Just quick example. I went in there. The guy was looking at me weird. I'm like, okay, I understand, because he probably just has that, just based off of what he's seen on TV and this and that. That's just how he thinks. But it's up to me to change his mind just on a single-handed way. I've talked to people who were actual skinheads. It was like, yo, you're like the only Black guy I can talk to. Like, sometimes you just got to change somebody's mind.
Okay, it's just a yes or no question. Are there times?
Yes or no question for what?
That sometimes people can act on their best behavior, and other people are still going to be racist, prejudiced, and fuck them over. Like, even though they're acting in their complete best behavior.
I think he knows that, but I also think he said that he doesn't believe that that's extremely frequent.
There's a chance, but you could change your outcome.
So it's a yes or no question. Yes, like you believe that. Okay, if somebody acts in their best behavior, there's always gonna be a change. Or you said that, like, they're gonna change the outcome. You don't think there's any point in time where if somebody's in their best behavior, they're still gonna get fucked over?
No.
Okay.
I think you need to bite the bullet on that. Like, I think that what you're saying is you think it happens extremely infrequently. The problem is he's already answered you 4 different times. You're like posturing over a Black man.
Stop! Oh my God! Hold on. Stop. Hold on. Wait. The number 1 rule for this Discord server, okay? No racial slurs. And no opposite of the racial slurs, which is virtue signaling. None of that bullshit, okay? Don't ever do that.
That's what I feel like Pxie's doing.
I don't care what you feel like she's doing. Okay, go.
Let me ask her a question. Do you have a Black boyfriend?
What'd you say?
Do you have a Black boyfriend? Does she have a Black boyfriend?
No, I'm not dating anyone right now.
Why did you ask that?
I was just asking because maybe you have some sort of sentimental, maybe you came home and cried on a pillow or cried on your lap.
Suck it, shut the fuck up.
Oh my God. No, I just think the whole thing of like,
the question because I know sometimes
your choice is bullshit, because it's not always your choice. We can say it's your choice half the time. We can even say it's a lot of time, whatever. But to say it's always your choice, I think that's kind of dumb.
Okay, here, let me bridge these gaps, okay? To say that it's always a choice is stupid, and low tier God, if he's pushed enough, will admit that it's not always your choice. You can do everything right and still get fucked up. And probably for Black people, you can do everything right.
Officers?
What?
Are police officers?
Yeah, you can do everything right and still get fucked up. It can happen if you're white, it can happen if you're Black, probably a little more likely to happen when you're Black. Something that low tier got, I think he was gonna say this earlier, but I think he got cut off. I think what he was gonna say was, oftentimes when you see videos of people getting fucked up by the cops, Black or white, usually there's some stupid shit happening first. Now, occasionally, you do have your Philando Castiles who do nothing wrong. I don't think he did a single thing wrong. But then oftentimes you'll see videos where people are doing dumb shit, shady shit. It looks like they're grabbing a gun, they're fighting the cops or whatever, and then something happens that's not cool, it's not acceptable, it's not good, but it's a situation that was like entirely avoidable. I think is the point Low Tier God is trying to get across.
Yeah, and the thing is, if I say certain shit, I know people are gonna think about me weird. Like, can I remind you guys that I would choose nothing else but to be black? Like, I'm an attractive black guy. Obviously, I would choose to be nothing else. So I'd probably look weird. But I mean, it's when you look at the history of like shit that has happened, like if you look back on Rodney King, like that shit could have been prevented. Like when it comes to police officers, you simply just don't resist. Like if you want to
wait, you think Rodney King could have prevented what happened to him?
I'm using that for an example. Like if you look back on certain shit that has happened, all you do, look, when you get pulled over, put your hands on the steering wheel, ask the police officer, may I get my license? Like I've been pulled over like fucking 10 times and I've only gotten like 3 tickets.
Here, I'll give you a really hold on, wait, real quick. I'll give you a really hold on. Wait, we live in a space. Okay, hold on. Here's a really space. Okay, hold on.
Of course, but I think that's what Pxie wants to hear.
No.
Like Pxie wants to hear Low Tier gods say like, it also sucks that we have to do this, but like I will because it's the situation that I've been given.
Sure.
Like,
okay,
that's what Low Tier God is saying.
Sure. So George Floyd could have been completely avoided. That's a situation that was avoidable.
Thank you.
But that sucks to say, but like that's a situation that 100% started with a criminal activity, continued with resisting the police, and then ended with him dying, which sucked, and he didn't deserve to die. And I'm glad the cop got convicted, but that was a situation that was 100% avoidable.
Wait, Destiny, how are you saying it's avoidable? Like if he had just like not
he could have not done the illegal activity in the first place, or he could have not resisted the cops when they tried to arrest him.
Okay, can I say a couple of words?
Go for it.
It was a choice. Get it? So when she says something about choices, George Floyd had a choice. If he could have, just like Destiny said, he could have that situation could have never happened. Yet it happened, and I bet you there's a lot of black people that are happy it happened because they got a free Dior bag from busting the windows out of a store in a Atlanta mall.
Jesus.
Yeah, I
wouldn't have gone that far, but
I'm black, so I can say that.
Well, you can optimize choices based off of environment. You can optimize education. You can optimize redistribution of wealth. You can optimize culture. You can optimize all these external environmental factors. And our society is not perfect. It is fucked up. So while I am happy to hear choice bootstrap rhetoric on Twitch and YouTube, or on YouTube at least, we should also optimize the environment because the truth is things don't have to suck this bad.
And it's all based on choices.
Why does everyone think, because obviously we know, I think that like black people are like brought up to fear the police, right? Because of like what has happened to them. Why do you think that these black people, Low Tier God, are still like getting killed? Why do you think they're reacting in a way that someone who was scared of a policeman like wouldn't act?
I mean, it starts in the home. First off, black people, what we do is we look for the fastest way to get money, which AKA is scams. So when you're doing illegal shit, you're gonna be scared.
I need to get more.
Like if I get
I need to get other black people in here.
God damn it, dude. Go ahead, this and that.
Oh, fuck.
It starts in the home. So if we grow up looking at rappers who are committing scams or rapping about flip.
Wait, people are saying free ABBA. ABBA didn't get banned. I don't know why people are saying free ABBA on YouTube yet. He's not banned.
See, the thing about black people, we love to replicate what we see on TV, what we see in movies. That's what happened. How many people you think did drive-bys to Tupac? Because they felt amplified. So it's like it starts in the home. If your parents teach you, you know what, fear the police, fuck the police, this and that, don't ever let a cop know your rights. That's the bad way to teach the community. So if we're consistently being taught to fear police, we're gonna act in a certain manner that puts us in danger around police officers, and it's gonna be a revolving door. Yeah. It's never gonna get solved.
So what do you feel about the black absentee father point?
I mean, most black men, we fornicate for pleasurable purposes. So we're usually not looking, for a wifey when we're having sex. And I think it also starts at home too. Like my father wasn't there, but it didn't morph me into a guy that's just gonna, shoot the club up, AKA, or ejaculate in a bunch of chicks.
Definitely.
And just be a fatherless black guy. Like you still have a choice. Like I can break the cycle. I can have kids now and I could be absent, or I can have kids and make sure that I'm hands-on and create the best specimens that I could possibly be. I mean, that they could possibly be. But the thing is, I don't date black women. So, I mean, You know, I'm looking for culture.
God, this is literally what Anna was talking about.
Wait. Before you guys continue, like, I'm not gonna lie, low tier God. Like, I see where you're coming from, but you saying stuff like this enables people like Nick Fuentes to like just have like field days and stuff like that.
I mean, I
think so.
But that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is
I know. You're being realist. You're being realist. I'm not gonna discount you and say you're not being real, but you know, we can't just, you know, I know we should put the blame mostly on us, but we can't always just like, you know, the blame's not always gonna be just on us, you know.
Yeah, I'm not trying to allow other groups to talk about this. I feel like there should be like-minded Black people that only are allowed to speak on this level of quote unquote scrutiny or blatant.
None of them are gonna, because you know they don't want to fucking get like canceled and shit. So none of them are gonna say shit in here. So of course they're gonna agree with you. Like they're gonna have to agree with you. You're the only Black dude talking, but like, you know, what you're saying, like, you know, we're asking for this and stuff like that. You know, we're not asking for this. The Black community is not asking.
Well, what exactly, when you say we're asking for, what do you mean exactly?
Like the Black community is not asking for, you know, police to beat us or.
Oh, fuck no. Absolutely not.
Controlling our communities 24/7 or to be fucking, you know, like if we really want to be real, you know, a lot of the weaponry that Black people are getting, you know, we're not creating guns. We're not going to Mexico to get this shit. So where is it coming from?
But we're fucking buying them though.
We are buying them, but but we got to find the source of the problem.
But let's how about we do it like everybody else? Let's go get a gun license. Let's register that weapon. Instead of picking up that weapon illegally, let's register it. So if we shoot, everything's registered instead of just, you know what, I'm gonna pick up a gun from Jerry. Yeah, I'm gonna pick me up a Glock. Like let's do things correct. See, the thing is,
LTG, can I hit this real quick?
Of course, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, like, this is the thing from the community that really, this is where I really do see it both ways, okay? I appreciate what you're saying because I think on an individual perspective, you have to take that because you have to deal with the way society is and you can't wait for somebody to come and save you. The system isn't going to be fixed by the time you and I are dead. So taking like an individualist mindset, I can only control what I can control. And if I act the best way possible, I'm going to have better outcomes, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's a perfectly good individual thing to adopt. But when I was working in the communities that I was working in, there were kids who were smart. I actually worked in the schools. Very smart, but around 8 to 10, they were told that cops were the enemy, that education was a sham, that they weren't going to be doing anything else except for basically dealing drugs and burglarizing shit. And on top of that, it was a good thing that they were going to do that. So they created like a burglary ring of teenagers who were breaking into shit. They catch their felony. Once they catch their felony, they're basically prohibited from voting. They're prohibited from so much other part of life. So they double down on the criminal lifestyle. By the time they're like 16 to 18, they're slinging weed, they're slinging coke. And then by the time they're in their 20s, they've been in and out of the system so fucking bad that it doesn't matter. And it's the family that's recruiting them into this lifestyle because that's the lifestyle that they were brought up in. So what I'm saying is, if you wanted to break that cycle, you would have to have better schools. You would have to have better mentorship programs. You would have to have better shit because a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old can't decide whether or not they're going to become a fucking criminal. That decision is already being made for them by their family. So if you want to break that cycle, yeah, sure, the personal responsibility shit is fucking awesome, but we could have a fucking better system too.
We could have a better system, but
I feel like we're doing better in today's community as well, where it's like kids are seeing now, you know, okay, I don't have to just be a rapper, you know, rapping about, oh yeah, I just Shaquita and I shot Tyrone in the head, and you know, and they're also saying, oh, I don't have to just be a basketball player. Now they're saying, you know, people like you, people like me, people like Kai, Rage, Bruce, all these other Black, Flight, everybody, like, oh, okay, I could just turn on the camera and create like that, and I could and then. Now, what we need to do is we need to show other avenues. We need to start promoting, okay, oh, Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black attorneys, this, that. Imagine if I'm not saying Johnny Depp had to get one, but like, imagine if Johnny Depp's defense attorney or whatever was like a Black guy or girl. Like, imagine like, you know, with how publicized that was, you know how many people like young kids that could have been inspired. You know what? I want to be a lawyer. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you. And the thing about this is what I was telling Destiny before. So, you know what me, you, Rage, everybody else, Kai, everybody has in common? And you know why we get money?
What?
You got the answer?
Why do we get money? It's because we're entertaining.
Exactly. So why we could say, oh, you don't have to be a basketball player, rapper, this and that. It's still a circle of entertainment. And just what I was telling Destiny a couple of weeks ago, the only real way black people can get money in America on a grand scale is entertainment. But I guess what you're saying is it doesn't always have to be through rap.
Okay,
but the thing is,
I do agree with that. Like, I do feel like in the grand scheme of thing, that's all we're looked at as good as, you know.
So why not chase that if that's where your, you know, the road to your Emerald City leaves? Why not just chase entertainment if that's what America wants to give us? If black people are like, oh man, Jewish, this, that. You do realize that a lot of Jewish people sign our checks. Like, they do own these companies. And I think that we're allowed to become millionaires. We're allowed to be expressive, but there's just certain shit you cannot say. Like, why if you're making millions of dollars a year, do you want to say anti-Semitic comments? Like, what is the point? What does it change? You're damaging the community again by saying stupid shit, because you're gonna get black people that are like, wait a minute, I should be able to say this. But at the same time, think about it.
How does it affect Kanye? He's a multimillionaire. He's a billionaire.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Kanye
loads of money in clout.
So what is he even gaining?
Kanye is crazy. Kanye is having a mental break from reality. Okay, that's true. That's Kanye.
The only reason Kanye is saying this weird shit is because Kim started f***ing Pete.
Yeah,
it's half true, but it's because he's like has some.
That's like every black guy.
Because he's got some insane mental shit going on.
A white boy with a 10-inch dick.
Yeah, like I don't know what this weird stigma is. You know, we always think we're the only ones with like big ass cocks. Like, that shouldn't even have been an issue. It should have been like, if it was really a problem, he would have been saying this shit with the red hat on. Where was the anti-Semitic comments when he had the red hat on? It wasn't until Kim left him and started fucking, you know, some 28-year-old guy with a fucking
Isn't Pete Jewish?
I don't know. He's from Staten Island, but I think
his parents.
If you're from Staten Island, you're culturally Jewish. Just by
I think his parents
are Jewish. But this is kind of like the anti-Semitic shit or whatever. So his wife starts a Jewish guy, but the Jewish guy's dad was a firefighter who died in 9/11. You know what I'm saying? Like, the math isn't adding up for the global cabal to lead to your wife fucking another guy.
No, the cabal is like, it goes nowhere. This cabal thing just makes no fucking sense.
This whole fuckery, look, see how the world plays out? This whole fuckery started because Kim didn't want to fuck with Kanye anymore. Now all of a sudden, all these blacks, now we're talking about Jews. Like, this is what Kanye wanted.
It's always
about I do agree. Like, I feel like talking about Jewish people is the least of our concern. You know, I do think, you know, I feel like the things that we do unite on low-key be sometimes the dumbest stuff. It's just like, why? Like, because I'm pretty sure you've seen, like, why is it that all black people are trying to unite on? Why can't we say anti-Semitic stuff? Whereas, like, you know, you should be able to, like, you know, work and build on something else. Is that what you're trying to say, Lil Chair God?
Yeah, I feel like we got to be a sport about it. So if we want to say anti-Semitic comments, what would have happened if two white or Jewish, let's just say this, actors, let's just say Seth Rogen and somebody else, say, you know what, f it. You know, black people, they made white girls or white chicks. Why don't we dress up as two black chicks and just make the funniest ghettoest comedy? Now, we would have just, oh my God, we would have just had a
Robert Downey Jr. Awesome job in fucking Tropic Thunder, okay?
That's what I'm saying. That shit went under the radar though. But I'm saying, like, if we were to, I want to figure out why we're allowed to be racist, but we're not allowed to, or quote unquote racist, or is there another way we can call this shit?
Because white people feel bad for you over for 400 years, so we're letting you catch up a little bit. That's all.
But it's not 100% white people's fault. Like, we just talked about all those Africans that were slaughtering and doing cannibalism on blacks and killing 1,200 blacks.
But the same way that you were saying, like, okay, we as black community, yeah, it's not the guns, we're the ones who are buying them and killing people with it, right? Like, the way that you're taking collective responsibility for that is the same way that white people should take collective responsibility. It was free labor. They probably knew how up it was. They were watching other human beings suffer and die, and they didn't care, and they made whatever justifications they wanted to. So we have to take collective responsibility as a nation for what we did.
Okay, and I think a lot of white people feel bad about that, but you guys aren't doing shit to us in real time that is real damaging.
Can I point some shit out?
We're doing shit to each other in real time.
No. Okay, I want to point this shit out. So for instance, like, I went on Lauren Southern, ABBA, joking about that is kind of funny. We went on a documentary shoot in Baltimore. Okay, so we go to West Baltimore, South Baltimore. It's all up, right? Infrastructure sucks. Pipes are still lead. Lead. They have fucked up water, shitty schools, no funding. Everybody's leaving it alone. I literally go talk to the cops in the Western District, and I'm like, hey, where can I go that's safe, day or night, in order to talk to people and shoot a film? They literally tell me it's not safe anywhere. You will get carjacked or shot day or night in this neighborhood. That's how bad it is. And so you can't tell me that, yeah. And when you have 20,000 people who are underemployed, who don't have any money, don't have any hope, don't have any education, don't have anything like that, I could see how people would think that that was like intentional neglect, because it's so fucking bad. And we're talking about the richest country on the planet. How the do we have no-go zones in the United States, the richest country on the planet?
Same way we have sundown towns.
I think so. Lord to God, I think everything you're saying has elements of truth to it. Have you ever seen videos of people who turn on the cell phone and the video starts and one partner is insanely fucking unhinged and the other person is being really calm? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like these types of like relationship abuse videos or like the freak out videos or whatever.
It's a double fire.
What do you mean by that?
Double fire is when if you're arguing with your girlfriend, right, and you argue back, that's double fire. But instead, one person could just collectively absorb all the fire and then it fizzles out over time. That's just, I don't know, that's the way I do things. I don't argue.
Well, sure. What I'm saying is that like one thing you can do is you can get somebody super strung up where both of you are being unhinged as and then one side can turn the camera on and can look at the other person and go, look at how fucked up this person is. But they're recording, so they know they're on their best behavior, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like weird, it can be cop videos, it can be relationship videos, it can be whatever. There's a lot of videos where the footage starts at a certain time, and when I look at it, I go, I wonder what happened 20 minutes before this. Sometimes it feels like when the way that you talk about these black issues, I know it doesn't come off this way, but the way that it feels like it, you or other people, white people, black people, when they talk about the black community needing to take responsibility, sometimes it feels like starting the video right at the point when the white person wants to, while looking at the entire black community. That like, yeah, where the black community is at right now is super fucked. Nobody's denying that, white people, black people, whoever, but it's not by accident. It didn't happen randomly. And there's a whole bunch of shit leading up to it that to start at this very moment in time when the footage is rolling and say, look at how crazy and horrible these people are. They need to do better. And it's half true, like they do need to do better, but damn, there's a whole lot of leading up to it that put them in that situation that nobody would have been able to crawl their way out of. That's, I think, is like the point that other people on the other end try to make, or that I would try to make.
That's Anna won't concede on.
I don't care. I'm not talking to Anna.
That's why everyone's so mad.
I mean, so you believe that in America there's no way. You believe that in America there's no way out of the maze?
In America, I think that any person can find success. I don't know if a whole people can find success. There's always going to be exceptions to any rule, right?
I mean, yeah, it's not meant for everybody to be successful. We need people that's going to deliver our Amazon packages. That's just the way the world works. But I mean, why not at least try, especially if you're in a f***ed up area? Always imagine if I stayed in LA. I mean, I go visit my family, and nobody's doing shit.
I mean, like you can always, yeah, you can always try. You can always try. But like, let's say that I find out that my son is walking to school every day, and he tells me that as he's walking, there's always like 3 kids that try to like with him on the way to school, right? Yeah. I could tell him like, well, take a knife or learn to defend yourself or whatever. But realistically, what's going to happen is, well, I'm probably going to start walking with him. If you tell me that there are kids that are bullying you, well, I'm going to go with you. Because at some point, like, you can only tell people to do better so many times where they need a little bit of help to get out. Now, you still should try to help yourself. I agree with that. And sometimes that message gets lost in this permanent fucking victimhood. And people like, dude, I agree with you. When I see people building statues of George Floyd, it's the most cringe-inducing fucking shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, absolutely. But on the other hand, it's like this pull up the ladder mentality to where there's like a certain game, there's like a rat race kind of that it feels like black people have been put into sometimes, where you set the cops on them, you put them in certain communities, and their only way out is through entertainment. And now they're entertainers, and all they want to say is F the cops and F these communities because they F with us. And now other people are turning around and going like, wait a second, that was the only way out for you, but you got the way out, and now you're on the cops. Well, why are you being so disrespectful? Like, why can't you act right? Like, what's going on here? And it's like, it was almost like you were set up to fail from the start. And again, I agree, you got to do better, but The request is a really big one, and that needs to be acknowledged. That's a really big request that nobody else in any other group is making. Nobody's making that. Nobody else in the United States is expected to overcome that much, right? I don't know if anybody else in the United States could overcome that much.
I mean, I want to go back to, and it kind of plays off what you said. I want to go back to, because you said something about entertainment. I want to go back to JiDion, where he said, where if Johnny Depp had a black lawyer, it would have made a bunch of, like a bunch of the black youth say, you know what, I want to go to school for 7 years or whatever and pass the bar. Let me ask you a question. How many black people do you know that would just sit on their ass, study books, and pass the bar? What do you think the percentage of black lawyers there is? We don't want to do that shit. What we want to do, I'm saying we.
I mean, you could just say that, but like,
it's too much work. We want shit fast, right?
If we go to college, we go to colleges and like see the work and like HBUs and stuff like that, and then see what would people rather do. Then you could just say that. But like if you just say it right now, then yeah, like I would just have to agree. Yeah, like no nigga wants to be a lawyer, but like
it's too much work.
That was against what's his face, O.J. Simpson. He was black.
Well, here's the question. Real quick on that. For what Low Tier God said there, for being a lawyer, right? I agree with you. Nobody does want to do that. What do you think is like one of the biggest drivers for whether or not a kid actually would go through and get a college degree? It's if mom and dad has one, right? So like when you got if your parents have a college degree, you have a 3 in 5 chance of getting one yourself. If they don't, it drops to like 25%. So like, and who's more likely to have a degree? People who have a history of having all the rights afforded to them, all the economic opportunity afforded to them, and everything through the generations of this country have existed, or people who didn't have like civil rights protections up until 2 generations ago, right? Again, not that it's an excuse, but like, even when you talk about like the reason why black people don't want to sit through school and get a degree is because, well, what is your success as a black person in the United States? I think we all agree it's through entertainment, right? I'm not going to become a rapper or an NBA player by sitting to school and going to college and getting a degree. And if you don't see that, if you don't see people around you succeeding doing that, like a lot of white people do, Jewish people sure as fuck, right? Where you got parents that are getting degrees, when you've got strong members of the white, Latino, black, or not black, Asian community, all these other communities that are doing it, you see that. I think that's what motivates kids to do it. And when black people don't have those role models, I think like JiDion said, seeing like a successful black lawyer on TV would do something, I think, to push kids in that direction.
You know what's about that? So if you look at all these cases that's going on with the rappers, and people who commit stupid ass crimes, so on and so forth, they fire the black lawyers, or the main lawyer is a Jewish guy. So we're crying about Jewish people, yet we only want to hire Jewish lawyers when we get in deep shit, and our supporting lawyers are black. Anytime you watch a video, like let's just say DJ Academics, anytime he's covering a crime, he makes a joke like, oh man, you got to fire that black lawyer, get you a Jewish lawyer because such and such. So what's the point of going to school to be a black lawyer, right? Passing that hard ass test, the bar, if we're just going to go with the Jewish lawyer anyway, when we commit the crimes that we could have prevented in the first place.
Don't let DJ Academics get away with that bullshit. Call them out on it.
And also it's good.
Black lawyers.
No, like actually. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask him, because you're saying that like the majority of positive black representation in media is going to come through like entertainment, celebrities, etc. Like, what did you think about the fact that like Takeoff, recently passed in Houston? Like he was involved in a shooting. Like even his like wealth and privilege and stuff like that didn't like save him from like his untimely death. Because I was speaking to somebody and they he's biracial, and he was telling me that he felt that like Takeoff almost kind of like did it to himself, because he said like, well, he transcended his impoverished circumstances, but he chose to hang around like the wrong people. So he's like partially responsible for it. I don't know what you think about that, or what JiDion feels about that.
I don't know, JiDion, you want to go first? You want me to speak?
Nah, I said the exact same thing because I'm actually from Houston, and he was hanging out in Fifth Ward, and Fifth Ward is like one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America, let alone Houston. So you being a rapper, being in Fifth Ward is like it's like the president going to fucking Iran. It just doesn't make any sense. So I feel like it's a stigma, especially in the rap culture where it's just like you have to still look hood and stuff like that. You still have to be down with the cause. Like, all these top rappers, they all have to check in, Takeoff and Migos have to check in with Jay Prince. You have to check into Houston. You have to check into LA. You got to do all that. But, what's their face? Katy Perry doesn't have to check in with anybody. Post Malone doesn't have to check in with anybody. And it's like a bullying mentality. And I feel like it's the thing that's the worst thing in our community that needs to be taken out. But, it's here to stay. So it's sad.
And just to throw a little chime on it. So I did a YouTube video on it. I do my videos, I get off, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of detractor channels, this and that. So my message doesn't get out there crazy. But I woke up the next day and somebody sent me the TikTok of somebody taking a clip of what I said about Offset and the whole situation. And it got like 2.5 million on TikTok. And it wasn't even on my channel. So, I said what I had to say about it. We put ourselves in these situations. If I'm kicking it around, if I'm kicking it in the hood, if I go to South Central right now to visit my family, I immediately lower my life expectancy just from being in that situation. So you can lower your life expectancy. When you're Black, you already know how shit goes. When you go to certain areas or you're around a certain demographics, this and that, you kind of put yourself in those situations. Not saying that I feel like when you're killed, it's never your time to go. I feel like it's only your time to go through disease or natural causes or something like that. But when you're killed, it was never your time to go. It's based off premonition, space, and time. So I feel like it wasn't his time to go, but he put himself in that situation of rolling dice and being in that, that amped up environment. And if you watch the video, there's a certain type of a bravado that Black men have towards each other where they don't want to look like a bitch. Nobody wants to submit. So when you watch that video, you're hearing Quavo saying, yo, y'all keep doing this, I'm gonna hurt somebody. So he tries to walk off and then somebody tries to hit him, which causes the gunfire. So it's almost like, was it meant for him? Like, could this been prevented? Yes, it could have been prevented if bravado wasn't in place. That could have been 100% prevented.
This phenomena that you talk about where like no Black man wants to like look like a bitch, where do you think that comes from?
It comes from growing up. Me, I was always the quiet kid growing up. I was always tall. I was being made fun of for being tall and quiet because I wasn't amplified enough. And in the Black community, if you don't speak loud enough, if you're not, one of the loudest ones in the room, you're looked at as a bitch. Also, go ahead.
Where do you think that comes from? Like what, like
Can I give another sociological answer? There's a theory about like motivations in different kinds of cultures. There's like dignity cultures, there's honor cultures, and all that kind of stuff. And my guess would be that Black hood culture would be classified as an honor culture, where your reputation is important, and so as a result, you have to.
Why do you think that is? Like, what builds an honor culture? Like, what's the foundation? What builds an honor culture? Like. Because I think honor culture comes from places that are like heavily riddled with like war, right?
Yeah.
I think if you grow up and you're basically in like a war zone, which like I think a lot of Black young men think that they are, I think that makes sense.
Negative media too.
I think even more than like negative media or war zone, I think that the idea is like, what are the ways that you can show like you're a man, or where does your masculinity come from in a community where you have no economic opportunity? I feel like there's a lot of reasons why, especially in Black communities, there's like so many kind of weird associations with masculinity and gang culture, is because I think for a lot of people, like the only path to success or the only way to exhibit those characteristics are sometimes through like criminal activity. Like you just don't have the ability to go do like white collar jobs, go to college, get work, and then kind of like be the nice providing dude for your family. And when you don't have those types of opportunities, people will gravitate towards the other.
And if I could read this real quick. So honor cultures emerge when a centralized state authority is not present or not legitimate, and when people are extremely materially vulnerable. Under these conditions, people will take offense very easily, grow quickly fearful, and engage in higher rates of defensive, preemptive aggression, as well as vigilante justice in order to settle their disputes. So they're literally saying that it's like a sociological structure. And then dignity culture is more of a modern phenomena because there's a central authority that people resolve violent disputes through. And then as a result, what actually matters more is that everybody involved in the contract maintains their dignity. But I think if you were to do some kind of sociological analysis with this, I think you would you would find some pretty quick correlations.
And Steven doesn't care, obviously, because he has already shut it down. But for the viewers watching, I wish that this conversation could have been had with Anna, because this is literally the direct like counter argument for someone like Anna, who has all like the ingredients of something, like has, you know, the statistics, but also like doesn't have the empathy, or doesn't even care about the empathy to understand like what culture Black men live in and why it's different than Black women's culture.
This was the biracial chick that was on.
I don't know if she was biracial. I think she was just lighter skinned.
Yo, low tier God, before we end, well, not before this isn't my stream, so let me stop that. But you know, we've had our well, I wouldn't say it's a back and forth. It was just a one-time incident. But you know what, man? You know, me personally, I have no problem with you. I just feel, you know, man, I don't know how to say this.
Say what you gotta say.
I see the clip of you saying it. You know, I think your mom said, you know, it's the way you say things and stuff like that. You have a way of saying things, and you know, it rubs people the wrong way. And when I did my video, your reaction to it, especially with you being a brother, it made me feel a type of way. But you know what? I feel like that's your right as, you know, a man. You don't have to feel the exact same way. You don't have to feel, you know, you don't have to be by my side, especially just because I'm Black and stuff like that. So, you know what? All means that way, you know, I have no hard feelings towards that, man. So, you know.
Yeah, it was never
it's no beef.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. So for you, I look at, you know, you and a bunch of the other guys. I know you guys, I don't know, I use like a bunch of jokes. So my personality is either you're really gonna like me or you're gonna be like, what the f is this guy saying? Like, that's just the way that I work. So for me, when I was doing that, I was like, yo, this guy, like, JiDion is like, you know, he's one of the most popular, if not the most popular Black content creators on YouTube. And I was wondering, why the f does he give a fuck about Twitch? Mind you, I've been banned on Twitch like 6 times, literally, for, I don't know, I used to be real crazy like some years ago. So when I seen that, I was like, yo, why does he give a f if he's really successful? So it was probably my wordplay. And as you could hear me like throughout this conversation, my wordplay is like, either you're gonna take it away or you're not. So my thing was never directed at you to try to like shit on you or anything like that. I was just wondering, you know, from somebody who's in a less successful type of aura, why you would really give a fuck about Twitch. So it was never like, I'm trying to shit on you or other Black content creators. And I think it caused a shitstorm because everybody's like, yo, this guy, low tier God is a fucking hater, this and that. I want all Black people to win. If all Black people won, the balance would be reset. So yeah, I was never.
Then we can get working on that white genocide.
You know, I like, you know, imagine you game up with your homies, you know, you have the ability to make a living, and like Destiny, you know, who would you say you're like? Imagine if YouTube was like, yo, you can't have Abba on your show anymore, you know, like it just ends, dones, you know, you can't have him on. Like it takes the fun out of it, you know what I mean? And so that's the reason why. That's the reason why I feel like I'm most hurt about Twitch, is because it's just like, damn, you know, like I can only talk to my friends when they're not in their grind mode. And it's like, you know, sometimes it's, you know, it's kind of hard because, you know, I'm over here grinding, doing my thing. Then all my friends are out here grinding, doing their thing. And so like, we have to find time, you know, in between to catch up and see how each other are doing. Or like, you know, where moments where like they had a moment on stream where it's like, I could have been there with them to say my piece or whatever. It's like, you know, I have to wait till after they get off and then I have to be like, yo, man, congrats on.
Bro, I know that feeling 1,000,000%. Like, I'm banned from Twitch and my wife is a Twitch streamer and I can't be on her stream with her. So it's pretty fucking weird. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know all about
it. You know, like it's not a monetary thing at all. You know?
Yeah, it's like the meme of like the kid that's like inside, like watching his friends play outside, and he's just like upstairs in his room, like the little Peppa.
SpongeBob, like the SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, the SpongeBob.
Like,
Squidward. Yeah.
How do you think I feel? Yo, JiDion, how do you think the I feel? So after I gifted Kai 20 subs, miraculously my shit got hit for fraud. Now, mind you, I've had that account since 2014. So it's just like, damn, I was trying to support, you know, throw him like 20 gifted, and then I lose my account after. So I'm right there on that SpongeBob meme with you. Like I can't even watch people's streams. I gotta go on desktop just to see some shit, and I can't even log in. So I get where you're coming from, but it was never like a shot like that. But ask yourself this question. So if I would have never had that, like, that type of arrogance and said this and that on the video, you would have never found out who the fuck I was. Like,
no. You can't even say that, like, you know, because one of my best friends, the reason I found him is because all he would do is just comment on every video being like, oh man, that was a great video. It wouldn't be on no stuff like, yo man, we need a collab. He would literally just showing love, and I just hit him up and I was like, yo man, like, yo, you always showing love on my videos. And I was like, where you stay at? He's like, oh, I stay in Houston. I was like, what the fuck? I'm in Houston. And then we became friends. So like, I feel like you shouldn't have that mindset of, oh, I gotta say the most outlandish things, or, you know, be out there like that and say something crazy to get people's attention. Cause you know how your first impression goes a long way. You feel me? So, I'm one to talk too, because a lot of people are like that with me, where it's just like, you know, my first impression with them is like, they're like, what the fuck? Look at this dude. But then like over time they get to know the real me and stuff like that. But I
think after a while too, when you start to become a bigger content creator, you actually start to specifically avoid people that are negative, because what you start to learn is when you give those people attention, everybody tries to build careers off of being haters. And it's like the most annoying thing in the world when you know that some dude is on some wild shit because he's, holy shit, she's in here. Because
hi, Alicia.
Oh God, you removed me from Discord. I didn't know you were still on my server. But yeah, when you start giving those types of people attention, they like everybody starts to talk shit about you because everybody just wants to get on your radar so that they can be a part of your like orbit and shit.
But you know the fuck thing, nobody ever put into light. So remember when you went to like the world's most racist neighborhood? So I reacted to that video on stream, and I was agreeing with everything you said. This is way before you knew who I was. Nobody clipped that. And I was labeled like some black guy. Like people, they'll like Photoshop me with a Confederate flag on. So it's like nobody showcased, like I've really been rocking with your content for a while, but nobody showcased that. But I don't know, I got this weird up type of stigma on the internet where I'm a small content creator, but when I say shit, for some miraculous reason it sticks. Like I said, it's probably my delivery, but I guess maybe that's something I need to work on. But it was never any like ill will at all. I've never been like, man, JiDion, man, I hate this mother. Was nothing like that. So just want to throw that out there. I've always checked out your content and supported it.
Hey man, that's love, bro. That's love, and I really appreciate that. You know, I'm gonna start peeping yours, and you know, yeah, man. Like I don't like to have any ill will towards anybody, because I feel like everybody in here is trying to get it. You know, everybody in here is a content creator, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't have any hate.
Yeah, man.
I like to see people succeed.
And you know, that's why I have respect for Destiny. You know, like I don't like to come in here to like, you know, try to like, you know, like get clips or nothing like that. I just genuinely just like coming in here and like, cause you know, whether I agree or disagree, it's just, you know, everybody's just working towards something. And I feel like that's the common goal. We all love this platform. Everybody in chat, man, you know, chat's being great hosts. So shout out to everybody in chat. Shout out to everybody in this Discord. I'm gonna go get me some pizza, and I gotta go celebrate the Astros won. So I gotta go to the parade. But everybody in chat, be sure to like the stream.
Wait,
I'm out of here.
JiDion.
What's good?
Yeah, not everyone's a content creator. Annalicia, she's not a content creator.
She hold on, she's here. Yep, she's here.
I think it's really interesting. I think that it was so at certain points I would have some people who would send me the stream so that I could hear whatever the black men that you were having conversations with earlier were saying. And I think it's interesting how black men come up here and tell on themselves, first of all.
Wait, what?
I also think that it's interesting how black men come up here and just affirm everything that I've said. Absolutely.
Wait, who are you?
Hold on, JiDion, Carol.
You're coming in really hot.